The 24 Hours of the Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ, by the servant of God, Luisa Picaretta, little daughter of the Divine Will. Presentation. This book is a translation of the Italian book L'Orologio della Passione di Nostro Signore Gesù Cristo, written by Luisa Picaretta, the little daughter of the Divine Will, about the year 1914, in obedience to the ecclesiastical authority at that time, the now Saint Annibale Maria di Francia. This presentation was taken largely from the preface of the 4th edition, which Saint Annibale Maria di Francia had written for the original Italian. Luisa was 17 years old. She relates these facts in the first of 36 volumes which she wrote by order of holy obedience. On the last day of a Christmas novena which Jesus himself prompted her to do, he surprised her with an unusually vivid experience of the marvelous mysteries of his love. And he told her he wanted to lavish new and greater graces on her, manifesting to her other, even more lofty excesses of his immense love, and inviting her to continue giving him uninterrupted company during the 24 hours of his sorrowful passion and death. Much later, after Luisa had already been living these hours of the Passion intensely in her interior for more than 30 years, the now Saint Annibale di Francia, who was the ecclesiastic delegate on matters concerning Luisa's writings, and who had come to know about this practice of hers, gave her the obedience to write these hours down. This, then, is how the book, The Hours of the Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ, began. It was then that Saint Annibale di Francia published it for the first time. To this edition there followed 7 others, 5 in Italian and 2 in German, always with the proper ecclesiastical permissions. It was recently published in English and Spanish as well. When Luisa had finished writing the Hours of the Passion, she wrote a letter which she gave to Saint Annibale, together with the book, who included it in the book's preface when he published it. From this letter we come to appreciate how pleased Jesus is, and how many benefits are lavished upon the soul when it practices these hours on a daily basis, as bread without which one cannot live. Here is the letter. I am finally sending you this handwritten copy of the Hours of the Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ. May it all be for his greater glory. I have also enclosed a few sheets on which I have described the effects and the beautiful promises which Jesus makes to all those who meditate these hours of the Passion. I believe that if whoever meditates on them is a sinner, he will convert. If he is imperfect, he will become perfect. If he is holy, he will become holier. If he is tempted, he will find victory. If suffering, he will find strength, medicine, and comfort in these hours. If weak and poor, he will find a spiritual food and a mirror in which to look at himself continually, and so become beautiful and similar to Jesus, our model. Jesus' joy is so immense when someone meditates on the Hours of the Passion that he would like to see at least one copy of these meditations being used in every city and town, because then it would be as if Jesus were hearing his own voice and his own prayers, which he raised to his Father during the 24 hours of his painful passion. And if this is done at least by a few souls in each town and city, he himself promises that the divine justice will be appeased in part, and punishments will be lessened. Reverend Father, you make an appeal to everyone. Bring this little work to completion which my loving Jesus has had me do. I would also like to add that the purpose of these hours of the Passion is not so much that of recounting the story of the Passion, since there already are many books which deal with this pious subject, and it would not be necessary to write another one. Instead, its purpose is to make reparation, to unite ourselves to Jesus in each of the different moments of his Passion, and with his own divine will make a worthy reparation for each of the various offenses he receives, and compensate him for everything that all creatures owe him. From this there derive the different ways of making reparation in these hours. In some instances the soul blesses him, in others it sympathizes with him, in others it praises him, it comforts suffering Jesus, it compensates him, it begs, prays, and asks him, and so on. So I entrust to you the task of making known the purpose of these hours to those who will read them. Therefore, in every city, town, and nation, let us form so many cenacles, in which these 24 hours of the Passion of our Lord are meditated and lived. Like so many living clocks, let them faithfully mark the hours of each day, to keep Jesus company with our love, our reparation, and our gratitude, for he is not loved as he deserves. Indeed, his own children offend him and crucify him again in their hearts, by closing the doors to grace, to the divine will. It happened that on one occasion Saint Annibale de Francia went to Luisa's house and recounted what had taken place on one of his visits with the Pope. Being an intimate friend of Pope St. Pius X, he was frequently received by him. While with him, he wanted to introduce him to the book, The Hours of the Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ, which he had been spreading. So he read a few pages of it to him, specifically from the hour of the crucifixion. At a certain point the Pope interrupted him, saying, "Father, this book should be read while kneeling. It is Jesus Christ who is speaking." This concludes the presentation.